Hey guys, just out here doing some work. Been working my regular job for the last couple of days, so this is the first day I've had to do anything, and I've still been busy. Just in here, I have welded up some more of this. I've got to grind some of this down and plate it where that hole is. This hole right here is the one where I've got to cut out this section, beef up the frame rail, then replate for the shock tower, and continue getting all these holes filled. Anywhere where there's a sheet metal screw that I do not need, I'm going to patch all those up. And this hole right here, fan motor, heater controls, the hoses, that's all getting filled in, because all there will be here is just a bulkhead that has both my AC lines and my heater lines going in and out. That'll be all that's over here. This side, this hole right here will be filled up. This right here was actually the AC lines for the old system. Everything else will be kept. Steering wheel, accelerator pedal, brake booster. This was the gauge. That can probably be filled in also. That right there's for the wiring harness, which I'm going back in with a painless wiring harness system for a GM, because I'm using GM anyway. But the fact of the matter is they have a bulkhead connector harness that uses the same size square hole pretty much. Today I have continued to needle scale this whole inner fender on this side. It's actually really nice. Like I said, right there's that hole from the back side for that spring perch, and then there's that frame rail hole that I've got to fill. I'm going to cut this out though, to get the good metal, and then use some 1/4-inch plate, and then sheathe metal over it. Same thing on the bottom side there. I'm going to continue to patch in this area right here, these rain boxes, the side boxes here, and then weld in the rest of these gaps. It's a unibody car, so pretty much everything was either welded or like right here there's factory welds, or they were spot welded together. That new Control Freak front suspension does not use the factory spring perches. It actually uses, it just bolts in right here. It uses the upper control arm area, but it just pops through here and pretty much supports itself. So I don't know, I think I might fill this in somehow or another. But one thing I will not need is this right here. This is actually a bolt-on cap for the shocks, not the springs, but the shocks that go in. These don't get used, so once I get the Control Freak in and actually see how it's going to set up, I probably will get rid of these and just put a flat plate, which will actually clean up my engine a little bit and give a little bit more room for either wiring or whatever else I need in this place. Still working on figuring out what I need to cut out over here. I still need I'm going to have to cut out a lot more of this front section, because what's happened is where all that water was coming in the inside, it's rusted this out. So this will just be more metal I've got to cut out and replace. But I'm going to take my time and get the other side done first, and this side. That way I don't get anything shifting around on me, which it shouldn't, but there again, you never know. I haven't done this side right here, but like I said, I'm going to continue using a needle scaler to get all this undercoating off, because that'll just save the sandblaster guy a lot of time, because this stuff it's on there pretty tough. It took me half an hour just to get this front quarter section on the inside, and that's just solid time doing it. I don't think I took a break for a half hour on that needle scaler. But it's cleaning up nice. There's not much rust repair that has to be done in this area. Going through everything, continuing. It's just going to be a lot more repair, a lot of time. Just going to try to make videos when I can. They may or may not be frequent. It just depends on if I have anything interesting pops up, because I don't want to keep boring y'all with the same stuff over and over. If I get to where I'm good at welding, getting a good section welded up, I might try to make a video of the weld process, putting the metal in place, getting it set, folding it to the right shape, and getting it tacked in and then fully welded. Other than that, I am going to continue with the thought of getting rid of those cowl intakes. That'll be, like I said, I'm going to work on the front end first and then work my way back. But that'll be the next thing, is weld that up. And also, for the, right here, this is the top, right there's that cowl intake on that side. This is the top where the radio antenna went. I'm going to patch and fill that hole in. There's a similar hole on the fender. That will get patched in. That's where your antenna came out. I'm going to run an internal antenna so I don't have any external holes. That will pretty much seal off this and the cowl vents. And then I'm going to seal off the bottom of these boxes too. I may leave a small drain hole just in case, for some whatever reason, there might be a little water get in here. But for the most part, I'm going to try to seal off this entire section so water cannot get inside. I'm trying to think what else. Working on figuring out what I need to do as far as the sandblasting. So I'm going to try to finish the needle scaling. I have off the week after Thanksgiving. I have off. I took off a week of vacation. I'm going to try to get the needle scaling done and maybe talk to the sandblaster guy about coming out and doing it. Getting everything sandblasted, and that way I can see all my rust, and anything that's thin will hopefully show itself, and then I can really see and repair and patch. But as he goes along, after he and it being up on the lift, I've made a body dolly that will that I can get it off the lift now using 2x2 tubing and some wheels. But I'm going to take and hopefully leave it up on the lift for him so he can get pretty much everything on the bottom side of the car, and then we'll lower it down the dolly and roll it out of here, and that way he can continue getting the doors and interior and the roof and everything else done. But if I can get that done in the next couple weeks, then we can really press on with the sheet metal and getting everything else prepped and ready. I'm going to use some etching primer after he sandblasts to make sure the thing doesn't come back and start rusting on me. I have a friend that I work with. He's telling me what I need to do with it. He's from what I understand, I've never seen any of his work, but he's a really good body guy. So I'll continue to work on all this. But whenever I do get a little more into it, it'll be a lot more interesting, especially when I get into the mock-up of the motor, the transmission. And I'll have to do a custom drive shaft since we're going from that LS back to that Ford 9-inch rear end. We'll do a lot more in depth on the actual parts that we're putting in the build. You know, that I've had people ask me about the motor. It's going to be a used motor. I'm not going to spend $20,000 on a brand new motor for this car. A used motor out of a GM vehicle. I've found several 6.2s with the 2-wheel drive 6L80 transmission out of, you know, Escalades and some of the SUVs and stuff. They're asking, you know, $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000. Well, I've also found some and talked with some people, get them for $2,500, $3,000. The 6L80 transmission, I have a guy that told me that if I'd bring him that transmission that I get for core, he has some transmissions that he builds that are good for up to 700-800 horsepower, and it's $2,000. So, you know, pretty much just trade him out on that. And then the engine guy I've been talking to about building that engine, we're taking that 6.2 apart anyway, and we're going to go through it, so it really doesn't matter if it's used or not. But we're going to put the stroker kit in it from 6.2, which is I think 383, up to the 408, and I have found a it wasn't really, I don't think it was used, I just think it's an old stock supercharger kit for that motor. And so we'll get that on there, and I'm pretty sure that it will fit under the hood. If it doesn't, I don't know, we'll figure out something else, but I'm pretty sure it'll fit under the hood. Radiator and some other stuff. I'm going to get an all aluminum radiator with fan kit. I don't know if I should try measuring what I have here and trying to mock up, or if I should just get a all aluminum radiator for the Javelin and then just run my hoses. The Javelin radiator has hoses that run a different direction than the GM does. And I'm debating on what I should do. If I should get the AMC radiator that I know fits in the car and just route my hoses weird, or if I should get a GM radiator, bracket it up, and with where the radiator sits at in this car. Like right here, you can see this right here. These are where the radiator bolted up to. I might see if I can find a GM one or something that has similar hole spacing. And then the AC condenser out front here. That will come. The company that makes the AC box, they have one that'll fit in here, pretty much using the same bracketry that I currently have. And the only other thing that's going to be out front here, I'm pretty sure, which if you look here, this is a pretty big gap, and the front bumper is all the way out here. There's actually like a foot gap between where the radiator condenser sit and like the grill of the car. So there's plenty of room in here. Like if anybody ever wanted to run turbos in one of these cars, you can pop right through this spot or right through this spot right here and come right out and have your turbo just breathing right out of your grill. But I don't want to run turbos. I just want to run a supercharger, make it clean. But the cooling exchanger for the supercharger will probably sit out here in front of where the AC condenser is, and then the hose lines will run out from here into it. So that I think having that stack up, everything should fit in here without an issue. That's the one good thing about this car. You start putting stuff in here and it looks like it's getting packed, but with the way this LS is going to sit in here and the going to the Control Freak suspension with that power rack and pinion steering, it gets that big chunky steering box and all that other stuff out of the way, and that whole setup, it just looks a lot cleaner than the way the stock setup was. So I just keep going over stuff in my head. If you guys have any questions or comments, please comment. Because I'm always thinking of things. I'm trying to figure out stuff. And it would be very helpful if anybody thought up of an idea that might help me, make me think of something else that I haven't thought of yet. There again, I'm going through, if y'all watched some of my earlier videos, I actually, while the door glass is still in, I tested out a electric window kit for this car that I'm going to put in. And I have those pass-throughs, or rubber pass-throughs, that I can get the wiring from inside the car through the door. Somebody else had asked me, hey, while you're going to all the trouble, why don't you just go ahead and put in electric door locks with like a key fob and everything else. And I thought, well, you know what, let me look it up. And there are plenty of kits out there. There are kits that range anywhere from, you know, $200 up to $500-$600. And the kit that I'm looking at, I think it was $160, but it has what I need. It just has the two doors, and I can't make it work for the trunk. The way the trunk latch works in these cars, I'm pretty sure I cannot use a trunk latch popper. But the door latches, I definitely can. And it comes with the computer, the sensor, it comes with 2 fobs, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it is also a electric start. I'll have to do some more research on that to see what I can get that'll work for the Holly, because I'm having a Holly ECU for the motor. I don't know if I can get it to work. I'll have to do some more research on that. But if I had electric start, that would be awesome. If not electric start, electric power door locks would be awesome. I'll definitely entertain that idea. So really, I only need the 2 wires for the power windows, 2 wires for the power door locks going into the door. So it's really not that big of an issue. Some people have also asked me about speakers and stuff. Well, that's way down the line. That's like one of the last things I'll end up doing. But they were asking about putting speakers in the doors. I'm not going to do that. There's enough room in that back glass area for it's set up for 2. There's also another hole for like a third. I might go ahead and do 3 speakers in the back and then 1 in the front up here, and then there's room up in the headliner area also. I could actually even put a speaker or 2 from above. But that's a year and a half away from even doing that. But there again, I like that the comments mentioning stuff like that, because it gets me thinking on, what am I going to do for the car? And also it gives me time to actually research and come up with a budget. Because even though this car, I'm going to try to make it look nice, it's going to be a daily driver, I don't feel like spending a ton of money. I've seen people put $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 into these cars, and I agree, they're awesome, but I'm not looking for a show quality car. I'm looking for a daily driver that is reliable, is neat, that I can take to a car show and show it as a resto mod. It's not going to win. I don't expect it to win like first place any prizes, but with the uniqueness of the car itself plus what I'm trying to do to it, I have a feeling that it's going to be a very well sought after car as far as what it's going to be. I'm really looking forward to getting to that point where I start getting all the major parts in, mocking it up, and being like, yes, this is what I want. And once I get all those major parts in and mocked up, then we can finish getting this body situated and ship it for paint. And then when it comes back, then there comes the exciting part. Getting everything else back in place, getting it back on, getting it back on the rims, and start doing the wiring. Now, some people are like, oh my gosh, that's the worst part of it. I actually, over the last several years, have come to enjoy the wiring aspect of it. For me, I enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. I've done two wiring jobs on these Javelins. They were still stock. They didn't have the Holly ECU, and they weren't, set up like this, but I enjoyed doing it. And then I've also done a couple of dune buggies, the wiring on those, and then I've gotten used to doing wiring on like my '01 Dodge Dakota. That truck, when I bought it, the guy had some wiring issues with it. I went through it, did some wiring repair on it, and other vehicles. But that's another vehicle that some people have asked me about, is the Dakota, was how I painted it. So I made a post a while back about it. Not many people have, but that truck was bright red, but it all the clear coat on it was peeling off. So I went and sanded the entire truck down, taped everything off, and I used Krylon camo paint, black, sprayed the entire truck black, And the thing about those camo paints, I've painted several items over the last few years, but with that camo paint, you need to heat it or start with a heated surface. So I actually took a a big propane torch like you would, de-ice your driveway with, and I would heat sections of the body panels as I went along, spray the paint, and it causes it to flash real quick and bond. And then after it's on there, I come back again after I've done the whole truck, sprayed the whole truck, and heated it again, and that really bakes that paint on. And then Red Leg is a company. They make camo stencils, and they make these hex-clad camo stencils. They make several different stencils, but they make it comes as a set. You've got small hex and large hex. And I just went over the entire truck with those camo stencils. They're 28 inches by 28 inches, so they're pretty large. And with green camo paint, just did the whole truck over top of the black, and gives us that pop. There again, after it went on, I torched the entire truck again and baked that paint on. The paint's been on there for 1.5 years, and there are very few scratches. And you know what? It doesn't have to be perfect. And where there's a scratch, you just take either your green or your black, or you spray your black real quick, torch it, spray your green on it, torch it again, and it seals it off. It looks a lot better than it did when it was red, because all the clear coat was pulling off, and then the red paint was actually starting to come off too. But that's that truck in a nutshell. Some people have said I need to do a video on this and what I've done to it. But I've got it set up with, just a small brush guard and a couple LED lights, and then also a one of these connectors down here for your jump leads. Instead of going from the battery, that right there's already connected to the battery. I just plug in my jump leads to the front of the truck, and then I can jump a car instead of ever having to pop my hood, which actually has come in handy a couple times. But anyways, that's just a quick little video on that. But I'm going to continue on working on this, getting everything cleaned up, and hopefully very soon, very, very soon, I'll be a little bit more happy. Wintertime, it kills my emotions. But I'll be a little more happy whenever we start getting more of this stuff done. When we start getting those bigger projects, you're going to see me. Sort of like whenever the video when I put this 2-post lift up, I was very excited. Somebody commented, "Take a breath. You're about to pass out." Well, yeah, it was partly excitement and partly the fact that I had just moved those two 550, 600 pound posts into place by myself. When you're trying to get that set up by yourself, you run out of breath. But I did it, and this car has been on that 2-post lift now for, I don't know how long has it been, a couple weeks that I've had it. I put it on that lift and it hasn't come down. It's been there, and it's holding true and steady, and it works good, and I'm not complaining one bit about it. And my wife likes it too, because she likes the thought that if we need to work on my vehicle or her vehicle, we're set up. But anyways, hope everything's going great for everybody. I hope y'all are enjoying, or will enjoy more whenever I start getting into more of the detail. But we will continue on. I will try to be more happy. People said I'm not happy enough. I am happy. It's just that when I'm talking on the camera, I'm thinking also, and it's hard for me to talk and think at the same time. I have to think and then I have to speak. So we will continue on. I will be more happy. I will discuss more in depth on some of the stuff that we are wanting to do with the car, and when the guy, I get him out here to sandblast this, I will get some shots of him sandblasting it, and get a good, you know, before and after videos of the car, including all the fenders and everything else that's going to get done. One thing I'm thinking, the bumpers are chrome right now. They're decent, but I don't know if I want to keep them chrome. I've toyed around with the idea of all chrome trim, ghosting it out. So everything that's, you know, brushed or chrome, actually taking it and doing a matte gray, like I'm going to do with the stripes that are going to be on the car, or blacking them out completely. I don't know if I should ghost the car like that, or if I should keep the stainless brushed nickel look and chrome of the trim. I'm gonna ask that question, see what y'all think, put that out there, let me know. I like asking people their opinions. I have my thought, but I also like to hear from a conglomeration of people what they think. In the end, I've got a couple of AI edits that I did where the car that you see that I've posted before, as far as my rendering of what it wants, that's with it chromed out. And then I also have a picture of one where it's completely blacked out. I am definitely going to put a lot of, you know, thought into the interior. But right now, I'm just asking if anybody has any questions, anybody has any comments on what they think would look nice on the car. Hey, you know what? We can turn this into a group build where people tell me what they think I should do, and I'll discuss it. I'll discuss with, on camera here, people's ideas and how they think I should do it, and whether or not that's a good idea, and if I'm going to follow through. So, you know, we might even do a live about that. If I get enough people on here to start doing live videos, we might just do a live video some point and have a little discussion on different subjects. So, anyways, this video is getting pretty long. It's probably too long for for me to post because I don't know who's actually going to watch it. Anyways, you guys have a good day. Have a good night. It is Friday, the 21st, I believe. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. But you guys have a good night. Like, share, subscribe, if I can talk right. And we'll see you next time.